butt cheeks out.
No, please don't pull your pants down, honey. This is not that kind of video. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Brianna, this is my husband Ace, and here we don't always fix things, but we do make them less broken. And today we are painting an accent wall. I guess we're making an accent wall using paint. I pulled on Instagram. I'll show the wall that we are doing right now on screen as I talk. This is the wall that is visible as soon as you enter our home from the garage downstairs on the lower level. As you can see, it's kind of got a little bit of a funny shape to it. There's an air duct, I believe, is what that is running across the top of it. And so we did account for that when we were designing the accent wall. And we did design it together. This wall kind of came together from gathering a ton of ideas on Pinterest. And also, we finally decided on colors and we were putting together a design. Me and Ace kind of needed some help. So I took to Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, here's my main Instagram account at brianna.jewel. So I posted a poll to Instagram and you guys actually kind of helped us solidify the direction that we were heading in anyway. So we will be doing this design, and yeah, that's it. I think that's enough intro. We're gonna get started. Something I did not add in the video that I wanted to, which is pretty important to this entire process, is the tool that you see right here in front of you. This is an app called Freeform. I downloaded it on my iPad, and as you can see, I've been having quite a bit of fun with it. I've been using it to design a lot of projects for the house, including my accent wall. This video is not sponsored at all, but I do just really want to take a minute to share this app because it really is a fantastic tool. Like I said, we're using it for a lot of our home projects. It has different elements that you can use to incorporate shapes. You can incorporate your own photos from your camera roll into whatever you're designing. In terms of how I was able to nail the exact color, I actually used Sherwin Williams Color Snap. I guess it's a list of every single color that they offer, and it has the color number, the color name, and then in one of the columns over to the right, you see it says hex. That's the color code. And what I did was copy that code, and then I went back to the Freeform app, and when I was selecting a color, like I use the color grid, it gives you the option to insert the color code for whatever color you want. And so I basically copied the color from the Sherwin Williams table into my Freeform app, and that's how I was able to get exactly the right colors that I wanted for my accent wall. Okay, first and probably the most important step is tape. I am using frog tape to first establish my edges. The accent wall is only going to be on this wall on the end, so that's where I'm taping off the edges. There's a little husband harassment right there. Now, something that you'll notice is that I did not tape off the ceiling, which I should have in hindsight. When we started this project, I started it with the intent to also take a crack at scraping the ceiling as well, because we have textured ceilings. They're not popcorn ceilings. They're actually, I believe, what's called stomp brush ceilings. And, you know, I did some research, watched some YouTube videos, and I thought I would try my hand at removing them. And our attempt failed miserably. So I didn't even bother filming the rest of it. But the reason I did not tape the top of the wall was because in my head I was like, oh, well, we're gonna scrape off the ceiling and then we're gonna paint it over again. We're just gonna keep the ceilings white as they are now, and then everything's gonna go fine and be beautiful. But as is the book on home renovation projects and just home projects in general, things never go exactly how you plan. So while I did not tape the top edge of the ceiling, the reason for that was because, again, I intended to scrape the ceiling anyway, and, you know, I figured whatever I got paint on would just get scraped off and repainted anyway. But that did not end up happening. But hindsight, I should have taped the top of the wall as well.
Oh man, this paint is coming out really nice.
You know, that actually feels kind of nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it actually feels kind of good. All right, so we're going to be painting this wall in layers, and the first layer is going to be the color that's on the right side of the wall, which is this color that I'm pouring right now. I'll link all these colors below. Every single one of them are from Sherwin Williams paint, and this first color is called Avid Apricot. Did not put a piece of tape down the center because the next layer of color that we're going to paint on is going to go directly over it anyway, so we didn't bother painting over it, just so you're aware. And also something else very important to consider when you're working on painting an accent wall that I just stupidly did not consider, but like, why didn't I consider it, is dry times. Because of drying times in between coats, this accent wall, you will come to see, will take several days to complete, because in between each coat we had to wait upwards of 3 to 4 hours. So this accent wall, which I naively thought would get completed in one weekend, ended up taking like the entire week. So after we paint on this coat, I will see you guys back here again in a few hours for the second coat. And I think it's going to take 3 coats for this Avid Apricot color to completely cover up the gray underneath. So this is where we are currently at. The next step is going to be the blue strip that's going to go along here on the left side. And also, I don't know if I said this in the video, I've decided that I'm going to take it all the way down to the bottom in our like drawing that I made. I have it stopping like, I don't know, about right there, but I decided I want to just take it all the way to the bottom. So that's why we didn't define a line. We didn't use any tape to define a line right here because it's gonna get painted over anyway. We're gonna pick it up tomorrow because even though it says 4 hours dry time in between coats, we're gonna give it overnight because we're gonna have to put painter's tape on this and it's gonna go over this color right here. And I just don't wanna risk taking up any of the paint with the tape, even though technically it's good to touch in an hour and good for recoat in 4 hours. I'm just gonna give it overnight. So like I just said, I do see some spots up here. I'm gonna give it one more coat and then we will pick this up tomorrow when I don't know if I'm gonna get done tomorrow just because of dry times, but I will at the very least be doing this strip tomorrow and then we'll see what else we can get done because I do have other stuff I'm going to do tomorrow. All right, welcome to day 2. At this point, I gave Avid Apricot a 3rd coat of paint the night before, like I already said I did, so it has had overnight to dry. And what you see Ace doing right now is he's now taping off the section of the wall for us to paint the next layer. And he is using a level and surgical precision to get this line as straight as humanly possible. And then after the tape is on and we determine it's as straight as can be, then we will get to painting the next color. And the next color is called Haven. It's a really pretty, like, greenish color. It's got like a little bit of a blue undertone. It's pretty. So Haven is the next layer. So here we go. Okay, so here it is after we have peeled off the tape. I think I did a pretty good job getting that line as clean as possible. Something that really helped was after you lay the tape down, pressing down on it really hard to get a good seal. There are a couple of areas where I am gonna have to go back and touch up later, although in the middle, I'm actually not gonna return back and touch it up because it's gonna get painted over with the next layer anyway. Now down here toward the bottom, we did not paint over enough with our Avid Apricot color on the first layer. So something that I'm gonna have to go back and do is put painter's tape again on the side of Haven and then touch up that area and complete the wall and kind of fill in where Avid Apricot is. But there it is, we're pretty much done with the second layer. Haven only took 2 coats to cover up the gray, so. All right, I am now preparing to paint on our next layer of color. This is a 3rd layer, and that's gonna be the horizontal bar of color that is on my drawing there. Now, something that I am doing is I'm using a a tape measure, and I'm going to use a level to get the tape as straight as possible across the center. And I'm measuring it also to kind of determine how wide I want the strip to be. Something that you'll come to see is I'm actually gonna make the strip a little bit too narrow for my liking the first time around, and then I'm gonna later go back and add like 3 or 4 inches onto it, but that'll be a little bit later. And you'll see it was a trial and error thing. Apologies, but I seem to have misplaced the footage of us beginning to paint the next layer of paint. Next color that we are using, this really pretty, like kind of burnt orangey brown color, is called Reynard. Really pretty, really like it. So as you can see, we've already painted 1 layer on because of the colors underneath. This is going to take, I think, at least 3 or 4 coats, because even after 2 layers we could still see the colors underneath it. So yeah, 1 layer done, and then we let this one dry, and then we continue on until we have a nice solid color on there. All right, guys, update. So here's where we're at. I put I think a 4th coat of paint on the last clip you saw. I don't even remember, actually, 3rd or 4th coat. And I'm looking at it, and I don't think I made the strip wide enough. I think I want it to be a little bit wider. And I showed this to a friend of mine, and she's like, I like the wall, love the colors, I like how it's coming. And I told her that I think I made this horizontal strip a little bit too narrow. And I asked her what she thought, and did let her know I'm planning on putting a shelf on top of it. And she said, you know what? When you put the shelf over it too, it's actually probably going to look more narrow. So I actually agree with that. If you want to make it a little longer, I think I agree with that. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to take off the bottom tape. It actually should be dry now. It's actually probably safe for me to remove the tape anyway. So I'm going to take off the bottom strip of tape, and I think I'm maybe going to move down like maybe 2 more inches and basically keep going and paint it down and paint it down so that it's a little bit wider, a little bit thicker. So yeah, that's the next step. And I can actually already probably do the half circle on top too. But let's start with moving the tape down and making it wider. Okay, so while my last horizontal strip down there is still a little bit wet, but I decided that I was going to move on to painting the next and final layer. I would just, obviously have to be careful working around it because it was still a little bit wet. So the last layer is my half circle that's going to kind of come up beyond the horizontal strip in kind of a sunrise type fashion. That's kind of the mood that I wanted to evoke. So what I'm doing with the tape measure right now is measuring so that I get the circle as perfectly center as I possibly can, right at the middle of the horizontal strip of that color Reynard. So this is going to take some engineering and some ingenuity, things that I'm not super well known to have. In order to make a perfect circle, I have done this. On one half, I have a piece of thread. I mean, you can use any string, but I have a piece of thread, and I tied one end to a mechanical pencil here, which is going to be the tool that I'm going to use to mark. And then the other half is tied to a paper clip with some tape around it. Can you see that? Now, depending on how big you want your circle, that's going to depend the length of the string. I've already decided that I like this length because this is going to give me the size that I want. So I'm going to put my paper clip at the center, hold it with this finger, and then while I'm holding the paper clip, drawing my circle. Yeah. But you guys didn't know Brianna was also an architect. I'm not. Okay, so somehow the footage of me painting the outline disappeared. Sorry about that. But I am coming in to let you guys know I don't think I shared the color. So let's share this final color. This final color is called Aloe. I will share it here on the screen. It's a very pretty color. I think it complements the other colors well. And I also just need to say that painting around the edges, I use a small like sponge brush. That took surgical precision. And I am not even exaggerating a little bit when I say that. This is the last and final layer, and I am painting the first coat of Aloe on here. And this is a lighter color, so I think this one as well took maybe around, I want to say 4, maybe 5 coats of paint. I'll find out as I keep editing. And here it is. Here's the big reveal, although it's not done. More on that in a second. Here is the final wall after everything is painted. I've done all touch-ups at this point. I took off all the tape. The painting part is done. There are some areas that you can see where my painter's tape did not do the best job at getting a super clean line, but those areas are actually very minimal. I think overall the tape did an excellent job at getting very, very clean lines. I'm really pleased with it. The circle came out much better than I expected it to. You could actually still see my pencil outline in some of the areas. I'm gonna go back and erase that after it completely dries. So ultimately, I think the circle was 4 layers. I put on that 4th layer. I did not film it because you guys don't need to see me do it again. I did the same thing I did last time. So here it is. And now it's time to put up the shelf. More on this in a second. Okay, apologize for the brief wardrobe change. Not that anyone probably cares, but if anyone's wondering why my hair is wrapped up, it's because I just washed it and it was drying. So what you now see me doing here is measuring for, well, kind of quote unquote measuring for my shelf. So there's 2 pieces of wood I actually cut from leftover scrap wood from my project from when I made over my linen cabinets, which is a video that is also up here on my channel. I'll link it below. I almost went to Home Depot and had new wood cut, but then it occurred to me, no wait, I already have wood in my garage that's just been laying around, so let me see if I can use it. My friend let me use her husband's circular saw, and I cut to size the 2 pieces of wood that I would need. And so now the next thing that I have to do is to try and figure out how to get them to connect together so that they make one long continuous plank, and that's going to be the next job. And you'll see how I do that in a second. Okay, so now we're in my garage, and what I'm doing right now is trying to figure out a way to get these 2 boards to connect. Now, I did plenty of research online, and I came across several ways to connect 2 pieces of wood. And the way that I decided I wanted to do it was to use wooden dowel pins, and that's what I was just holding up there. So I took my 2 pieces of wood that I was gonna use, and the plan was to drill 2 holes into each side of one of them, and then just kind of connect them, kind of piece them together like a puzzle using the dowel pins. Now, I didn't want to just go in straight away and try this in case I ruined it. So I took a piece of scrap wood and kind of did a test run on my scrap wood. And it's a good thing I did that because the dowel pins that I already have in my toolbox actually ended up being too big and they caused the wood to split just a little bit. The following day, I actually went back to Home Depot when I got some smaller dowel pins and then came back home that afternoon, tried it again, and it ended up working. And then the last step was for me to kind of work the planks together so that they would stick together. Now, also, full disclosure, I am not good at this. In case it's not become abundantly clear, I am not a carpenter. I'm not a contractor whatsoever. I'm a 100% beginner. So just know I am not good at this. Is this the best way to connect two pieces of wood? I have no idea. But based on my own research, this was the way that I thought was best, especially since this piece of wood was going to serve as a shelf that was not going to hold heavy things. It's only going to hold a few very lightweight decorative items, and I plan on having it be there for the foreseeable ever. Is there a better way to do it? Maybe, but I wasn't aware of it. So this is what happened, this is what I did, and it did end up working out quite well, as you will come to see in the final product. So now I'm finally getting ready to hang up my shelf. What I did not show on camera was the whole process of me kind of measuring things out. So that's already done. Believe me, I did not go in there and just start drilling. I think it's a different day. I'm wearing a different outfit. My hair looks different. I don't know. So I specifically wanted something like invisible hardware for the shelf because I did not want the hardware to be easily seen because I did not want the hardware to be easily visible. So I think that's exactly what I did. I think I went to Amazon and I typed in like invisible hanging hardware, like invisible floating shelf hardware or something like that, something to that effect. I definitely used the word invisible. These hangers are what came up. I will put them up on the screen now and I'll also link them below. They were not priced badly at all. They were very affordable. I got a set of 2 because that's exactly how many I need. They come in 2 different sizes and I went with the smaller size since my shelf is only 6 inches in depth. So what you see me doing right now is just hanging them up. So I got both of my hangers up. I, at this point, was having a little bit of an issue because I lost the footage where I was showing the hangers actually like up close. Sorry about that. But underneath them are 2 drill holes, which are positioned underneath your shelf. There's not just drill holes in the part that's supposed to go into the drywall too. So I ran into the issue of not being able to hold the shelf steady enough so that I could then drill the holes underneath it. So I actually had to wait until later, until Ace came home, because I needed him to help me out. That was definitely a 2-person job because I couldn't drill under and hold it at the same time. So that's what you see us doing here. And 1, 2, 3, here it is. Here is the final product. It is finally done. This came out better than I expected. And I truly mean that. Like, I feel like people say that all the time, but I like really mean it. It really did come out better than I expected. I mentioned before that this shelf is truly decorative, and it truly is. I'm not going to hold anything super heavy on it. So those things you see on there, that frame and that cute basket kind of wicker plant pot, I got both of those from my local thrift store for 99 cents each. And I got that plant at Home Depot. And that is a philodendron. I think that's how you say that. I named him Philo. If you guys follow me on my main social media accounts, or if you know me personally, you know I'm a plant killer. And I've had Philo for a couple weeks now, and he is actually doing very well. That little table was actually thrifted. That was actually a table that I got in a thrift haul that went up on my channel a couple months ago. And same thing with that little basket that was on top of it as well. So all of the decorative elements that you see on this wall in this corner are all thrifted. They're all secondhand. And there it is. If you made it to this point, thank you so very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on this journey with me and sticking with me through my very sporadic posting schedule. I'm a lot more consistent on my main channel. I'm going to do my best to post more consistently on my second channel here, at the very least once or twice a month. So I'm doing my best. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.